So again, I just wanted to thank Malethia and the 1 Million Cups team for inviting me back out to present today. I got to tell you, when you reached out for me, I was really, really excited about getting back in front of this audience because the 1 Million Cups event at Launchpad City really, really helped energize the organization, my company, to take us to the next step in our evolution. So I'm going to go right into it because I think you already see what we're all about and talk about our growth. So once we presented last September, 6 months ago, we really were able to gain momentum, get out into the marketplace, and talk to specific people in the market. For example, fourth quarter, as we said in our last presentation, we wanted to meet with folks who run leagues. So we've met with different folks locally who run different leagues, got them on board in terms of sharing with them the opportunity. What they want to see is the active product. They want to see it working, and we're excited that we're going to have that to show to them. So that was one of the key things. We also were able to meet with some key manufacturers. That was one of the things that we wanted to make sure we had built out early, because in order for us to meet our timeline, we really had to have some manufacturers lined up. So we're excited about that. And then we were able to raise $250,000 in less than 30 days. And I think it was because we were able to share the content from 1 Million Cups, and also the product that we're bringing to the market. Everyone really gets it. This is the time for interactive football. Everyone sees the state of football today, tackle football, and looking at the growth rate or lack of growth rate in tackle football, there needs to be alternatives, and we think we have the right product at the exact right time. So that was a good raise that we were able to get. And then going into the first quarter, we received our first batch of sample products from our manufacturer. So we have our jersey and our gloves. They look great. When you see a football jersey, you see football. When you see a soccer jersey, you see soccer. When you see a hockey jersey, you see hockey. When you see interactive football jerseys, it looks nothing like any other sport. It's very unique. It's going to be our brand, our style, and everyone's going to know that is interactive football. Now, we have it, but I'm not going to show it today. Right? There's going to be another showcase that we're going to have later on in the next month or so. We're going to invite you all back. We're going to invite more people in the community, and we're going to have a reveal. And we're going to reveal our uniforms as an event, because we think it's going to be very exciting, what we're bringing to the market, and we want to make sure we present and pitch it in that way. And then you see, what is that? Magnifying glass, a light bulb, and some brains with gears. That's what we've been doing. Our team, our engineer, our fashion designer, and a few other folks have been grinding the last 6 months. It's been a lot of work. The picture you saw of me before, my hair was black, now it's a little bit gray. There's been a lot of work that we put in, but it's been exciting. So internally, we've really, really been focused on making sure we have a good product and getting the right partnerships so that it's a no-brainer. We want to make sure that folks who want to get involved with interactive football, they know that it's a good product to be involved in. And especially, we want to give the youth and we want to give parents a better alternative. If you're not going to play tackle, what are your options? Right now, it's flag and it's also touch. Interactive football, we feel, is going to be a very, very competitive idea or product that's going to compete very well with those other non-tackle football alternatives. Those are good, but we think we have another product that's going to make our customer base a little bit happier. So that's what we've been doing internally. We're on schedule. We're going to have our testing done later this month, and then in the next couple of months, we're going to redo the reveal, and then you're going to see some things that people using youth wearing our uniforms. And I'll tell you when we go through a few more slides what that's going to look like. So internally, this is what's been going on. Externally, it's been interesting forces at work. Many of you all probably have seen this already. In the last month, we've had 4 states introduce legislation that's going to ban tackle football for the youth from ages either 14 or 12 on down. So we see that as a market opportunity. And we don't have to market that. What we have to market is, if you're not going to play tackle football, if these youth aren't going to have an opportunity to play tackle football, they're pointing them right now to flag and a touch. We just want them to point them to flag, touch, and interactive football. We feel we're going to be, we have a great opportunity here. So with these states doing that, I believe other states are going to follow. Whether these pass or not, it really just says parents and athletes are looking for different alternatives. We see ourselves, right? A lot of folks say, well, are you competing with tackle or anything like that? we complement tackle. These other alternatives, they do a good job with allowing people to play a form of football, but no other form of football other than what we're presenting provide a solid, fundamental way of learning the game of football. Not only is our equipment going to be very well tied to tackle football in terms of hands up, eyes up, right? That's what we talk about, so you can see and you don't have your head down. So we have that. But we're building a whole system. We have ex-NFL players who are on our team who are helping us build out these fundamentals of how do you use our equipment, because our equipment's going to be great, but we want to give folks the instructions to use them in a very safe manner that ties well with learning the game of football, so that after the age of 14, if you choose to play a tackle form of football, then you can transition very smoothly into that after your brain is developed and after your body is developed at a level where most medical folks believe that's a good age to transition to. So we're excited about that. We really feel we have a great product, a great service, and we're looking forward to bringing it to market. So our next steps, well, we're going to complete our pre-production testing. We're doing internal testing. We actually have a group of kids this weekend who are testing our production grade equipment, and we're excited about those results. We have that test. That'll give us our final requirements that we're going to go back to our manufacturers and start building out our first production run. We're also going to continue to seek strategic partnerships. As I mentioned, we want to partner with people who run leagues. We want to partner with folks who see the vision of interactive football to help bring this to the market. One of the key things they want to see is, Kev, we just want to see it. We want to see your final product. And that's fair. And what we're excited about is we got that. We're getting there, and we're going to provide that to them very shortly. And then we're going to host tournaments and camps to showcase our technology. As I talked about how we're going to get it to market, we don't want to put our eggs in one basket. That means our partnerships and want to work with existing leagues, that's our first strategy. We're going down that road. And for those organizations that see that vision, that want to innovate, we'd love to partner. But we're also going to start our own league, Interactive Football League. We're going to host tournaments this summer. We're going to host a summer camp, and we're going to start our own league. So we have that channel that we can develop and we have full control over. So we're doing that. That's going to happen. You're going to see it, and that's why I know you're going to see kids wearing our product and giving us a chance in the marketplace. And we're excited about that. The other bullet that I don't have on there that I want to mention, I do have my patent attorney here, and one of the things that we're going through as we're learning is there's so much innovation in this market, so much innovation in the tech that we're bringing, that we want to make sure we have a portfolio of patents that are going to protect our idea moving forward. I had the opportunity this January to go to the Consumer Electronics Show, and I went there for a couple of reasons, or a few reasons. One, to meet with manufacturers. And for those of you who don't know what the Consumer Electronics Show is, CES, very large electronics show, hundreds of thousands of attendees, manufacturers from all over the world, industry experts, they're all there. So we went there to check out the wearable technology, see where do we stand? You know, are we really on the bleeding edge? Are we really being innovative? Is there better technology out there for to use? Are there partners we can partner? Are there manufacturers we can partner with? And on every level, everything we wanted to find out, we were 100% satisfied. One, we were able to make great connections with our network. I went through a bunch of workshops to learn about wearable tech and see where we sit in this ecosystem, and we're right there. There's no one out there doing what we're doing. There's a lot of wearable tech out there, but the way we are applying it, and the technology we're using is very unique. And I'm excited about that. And that was really very motivational, because when we got back, it was, hey, we got it. Let's go, because we're going to be in a good place. So now our team, 6 months ago to today, we're focused on one thing right now. And we're trying to stay focused on that because there's so much opportunity out there. But we just want a product that works. We need to introduce a product that simply works and the kids enjoy wearing. Matter of fact, they don't even know they're wearing it. They think and just realize they're playing the game of football. All this boils down to is allowing kids to enjoy the game of football. If you've talked to anyone who's played the sport professionally, high school, college, any level, it really is a great sport. And it's not just a sport to run up and down and sweat. You learn teamwork, you learn dedication, you learn endurance. There's so many life skills you learn at this game of football that we're just excited that we can be part of that. And we believe we have a product that can help save this game of football and make it accessible to a larger group of kids. So we're excited about that, and I'd like to open it up for questions if there's any questions. Matt?
Thank you so much for being back with your presentation, too. That was really awesome. I have a lot of things I want to say, but I'll wait until the end.
Well, I'm glad I Well, actually, I'm not glad I missed the first one 6 months ago, but this is outstanding. Question for you. The dream and the goal of the future. So right now you're starting in football. This can all lead obviously into other sports. And is there a vision for that in the future?
100%. So the company name is Interactive Sports Group, and our mission is to use wearable technologies to make sports safer, interactive, and fun. So football is our first product that we're entering into the market with, but yes, we're definitely looking at other sports to bring this technology to.
And one other question. So what kind of data are you providing that is beneficial to the parents, to the kids? What kind of information is this garment going to produce?
Great question. And actually, I want to talk about data, and I'm going to ask you a question directly and go into data. So we're going to be providing you with the data that's valuable to the football athlete. If you're playing in a game of football, what's important to you? How many touchdowns did I get? How many passes did I catch? How fast was I running? That's basic information. We're also going to provide biometric information too, right? So we're going to have sensors that connect and provide that. All the data and the sensors, it's pretty much ubiquitous now. I mean, when you go to like CES, data and data collection, anyone can do it. You can do it real time. You can do it save it in a device to a server. So what's great about it, what the challenge that folks are having with data now, anyone who's wearing a smartwatch, anyone who has a Fitbit or Nike app, is after you use it for a while, after you use that tool for a while, you kind of fade away because you don't feel like doing it anymore, and the data really doesn't have usefulness for the user. But for us, it's the opposite. The game people love. The data is a byproduct of what they love. So they want the data. They want to see this information. The information means something. And then down the road, there's other things that we're going to be doing with that data that's going to be awesome. So if you're a kid and you've just played in your game and you want to see, well, how good did I do? I've got 5 tackles, and I was the highest leader in tackles on my team. Well, you can do another search. How did I do with the city of Frisco? Well, how did I do with the state of Texas? Well, what do I rank nationally? If you imagine, we've got leagues all over the states, all over the United States, and they're just feeding data, game data in. There's so much more that you can look at as a player that's going to give you an idea where you stand. If you're a recruiter, you'll be able to identify talent faster. There's a lot of applications that we're looking at. But it's useful data. To your point, it's useful data for the athlete that we're trying to make sure we capture.
Wow, that's all I got to say. We're really excited for what you guys are doing. You mentioned starting your own league. What's that model? Do you look at maybe franchising those?
Yeah, it does look good, doesn't it? Yeah. So yeah, we do. So a key strategy for us is to start our own league, but not because we want to run leagues long term. What we want to do is simply manufacture product. We want to be the supplier of interactive football equipment and just keep feeding everyone else who wants to play the game and everyone else who wants to start a company to sell this product. So our model is learning the concept of hosting tournaments, learning the concept of running a summer camp for kids, learning a concept of running your leagues, 2 leagues a year. And we've done the math on it. If you do those 3 things, you can do pretty well. Once we have that model locked in, now you can think about how we can franchise that to different cities and zip codes and be a platform, because this is a platform for other folks to be entrepreneurs and take this idea and grow it in their communities. We just want to be that tool, right? If you're in the community, you love sports, could you imagine you love being outside, you love playing sports, this is a great opportunity for you to introduce kids to the sport and run your own sports league. Yes, we are looking at that model. Long-winded answer, but it's good stuff.
Kevin, very neat presentation. Congratulations on your crystal clear vision with the strategy combined with the amazing team you have on board. At this point, would you want to disclose your price point of your gear?
Yeah, definitely. So we look at what we're providing is more than just gear, right? You're learning football fundamentals, you're learning the game of football, learning those life skills. Right now, if you look at our competition, flag football, if you play that, you might pay, flags are like $25, $30. You play in the league, it might be $100. Tackle football. Anyone know how much it costs the equipment for tackle football? How much is the helmet? 150. That's cheap. That's a cheap helmet. That's entry level. So yeah, we'll go with that. 150 for a helmet. Then you got shoulder pads. Then you have what else do you have? You have Pat, yeah, you get all the equipment. It's on average, it's about $469 for the equipment, right? So you got $469, you got 20. Our sweet spot is going to be around $250, and we feel that the value that we're providing is going to justify that cost. If we're paying $400 for tackle, right? If you're paying $25 for flag, for what you get, the value you're going to get from playing this sport, right? The safety concerns that are going to be reduced, the game you're going to learn, we feel that we have a solid value. Now, to your point though, too, we're trying to drive that cost as cheap and reduce our costs as much as possible. We understand that making it very affordable is going to be advantageous to us, right? So we're going to do what we can to get the price as low as we can.
Fantastic. Also, what is your next step in the path towards a series funding?
Oh, great question. Thank you for asking that one. So we went through our family and friends round, and that's exciting. And we're going to deliver what we said we were going to do, get the product into the market. Once we do that, going to that next series, the Series A, we're going to be raising funds for that, right? That number, I'm not going to disclose what we're going to need as yet, but I can tell you the process that we're going to have is once we have product in the market, which is what we said we would do, pitching to investors of this opportunity, I don't think it's going to be that difficult. Now, raising money, I know in general, is challenging, but I really feel what we have is unique, and it's so timely. I don't really have to sell the need. What I have to sell is I have something that's going to be successful in the marketplace. Investors are going to see that value, and they're going to want to join up or sign up.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great presentation. You're in the right spot. Frisco has one of the biggest football leagues, as you probably know, in the state. I was a coach for 6 years, both flag and youth tackle. As you also probably know, it's 5-to-1 tackle versus flag. And here, a lot of the reason we do flag is for off season to get ready for tackle. So, what have you thought about? Because I, as a coach, former coach, I think it would be nice to merge the two. I know you're kind of talking about separate, but I have two boys. I worried all the time. I didn't let them be the running back and all that because of this. I think approaching FFL, which is the tackle league here, and most of the injuries actually happen in practice. If you could have your gear in the tackle during practice, maybe it's not the whole practice. You have to practice tackling, obviously. But if it was 50% of the practice or 75% of the practice, as a former coach, I think that's, and as a parent, amazing and would be perfect for you, opposed to keeping it separate, bringing it into tackle. And also the data, if that's on the hands, not just for the kids, that's cool, but for the coaches. We watched, as youth football coaches, we watch film every week. And if we could, film you see so much, but if we could extract data on where their hands are, because that blocking, tackling, throwing, catching, that's key. And that could actually teach, even running, form. So that would be huge. I mean, I love this idea. And if you could actually merge the two, now you're, instead of 300 kids that are actively in flag here, you're getting 1,600 every year. So have you?
Well, you're a smart guy. Yes. Yes. We're right with you. Now, here's where we are and where we're going. Where we are, right? We're a small engine building up momentum, and we're trying to get into the market, break into the market. So we're breaking into the market by just presenting this as a sport in a non-tackle football format. Yes, we're 100%. And if a coach says, "Hey, we want to buy your equipment because we want to use it for practice," we're in that. We just can't market to all these different places at the same time because we have limited resources. I agree with you. It is part of our plan to work and provide this to folks who play tackle, because for us, our whole play is we complement tackle football, right? So we are like this. We're saying now play interactive football and then go into tackle. But yes, even better, use our equipment during practices. Yeah, we're with you on that. It's just we just don't have enough bandwidth to say we're going to look at that market and really figure out how to penetrate that, but we will. But we will. It's going there. It's going to go there. And I'm glad you see that because it's a practical application. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, Brian Tracy. I love the presentation. I just had a couple of thoughts in watching and going through it. The electrical engineer in me, who's worked with circuit card manufacturing for 20 years, loved the fact that you have a trace diagram on that. The marketing person in me sat through the whole presentation and didn't know what it was. So I'm worried about the logo a little bit to sort of get that vision of electronics with sports, combined across because it's not very clear. And the other thing I would recommend is get the name of the company on it every slide, every page. Because again, this is the Grand Slam slide. I don't know the name of the company because I haven't remembered it. And you've given me a call to action without something to do. I don't have a link to go to. I don't have a, so add some of those things here because this is your money slide. But I'm missing some really key information on this slide. So I think just tweaking that up, I think that would be really good. But everything else, I mean, these guys are much smarter than I am at what you're trying to do. But I think you've got a great concept.
Well, thank you for that. Now, I want to add to that because you're looking at, this is just our circuit shield. We have a branded slide we're working on right now. I looked at some proofs last night with a football in the shield with what it is, with the interactive football in the center. We're going to have that brand on every sport we enter, because I know one of you asked, are we doing different sports? So you can see a soccer ball, you can see a hockey stick, any other sport, but this is the base. You see Nike swoosh, you're going to see our Circuit Shield. When you see Circuit Shield, you think Interactive Sports Group. So yes, but this is the money slide. We'll put the call to action information on it. Thank you.
Hi. So I imagine that there are probably some unique challenges with having equipment that requires power. So have you thought through the logistics of like having hosting a tournament with hundreds of pieces of equipment that all need to be charged and remain charged for the whole day? Yeah,
Definitely. We have an electrical engineer on board, and we're designing it so that it works. We've got batteries that operate our technology. We've got technology in the gloves, the modules, in right hand and left hand, and in the center modules. Yes, we do have that in mind, and it won't be chargeable at first. We've got just standard batteries that you'll put in there, and they'll operate your equipment, accurately. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kevin, great presentation. Congratulations on the progress your company's made. And just to build on the branding, if anybody knows the NFL, the most important and most valuable thing they have is the shield, is the NFL shield. It is the most valued part of the NFL. So I would agree with this gentleman to work on that. Okay?
Kind of to piggyback on what this gentleman over here just talked about. So what would be the maintenance and upkeep costs with having the gear and the technology?
Maintenance, you take out the modules, they snap in on the gloves and they snap in on the jersey. You plug those out, put them on the table, and you wash your jersey and your gloves.
What is it made out of?
Cotton. It's the jersey material.
No, the modules.
Oh, the modules.
Mm-hmm.
They're plastic casing, right? Mm-hmm. Real hard plastic casing with a circuit board on the inside. So,
okay. So is it like? Oh, well, I mean, I would look forward to seeing it at some point.
Yeah,
in time.
you're going to see it. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's a small module, like a little plastic device that has our tech in it, right? And it's made to withstand certain forces, and it's made to go into your glove, and it's made to go into your jersey. So it's about 2 by 2 on your arm, on the back of your back of the palm of your hand, or the back of your hand, and then it's center of your jersey.
So Kevin, thanks for being back. It's great to have you and have an update of what you've done in the last 6 months. We've talked briefly before about the data you're collecting, and you're collecting, or potentially collecting, an enormous amount of data. And so can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with that data, who owns the data, as one part of that, and the second part is what are you planning to do with the data above and beyond just collecting it and allowing the players and coaches view it? Will you be aggregating that and selling it to other industries?
I'm going to have Ted Cummings answer that question.
So we're going to, you want me to stand up? We're going to be taking, collecting every data from the time the kid puts the equipment on to the time the child or the youth takes it off. I'm not going to talk about everything we're going to be doing with the data, because just from a business perspective, that's just some of that is just going to be proprietary. From a patent portfolio perspective, we anticipate, other than the first data application, a plethora of applications related just to how we mine, protect, save, and keep the data, right? I will say sort of like the next thought I'm having patent-wise on the data is how to protect it using the blockchain, right? So that it's not hackable or easily hackable and so forth. So my vision dovetails nicely into Kevin's in terms of what the company is, in terms of the devices and the leagues. I hope in 10 years this company is a data-driven company, even more so than it is a tech-driven company in terms of the actual system and the devices that have been created.
Based on, I get another question. So, and data is obviously a big part of this. Is the data more beneficial for the health benefits, or is there going to be, I mean, there obviously will be data pulled for the health benefits, but there's also going to be data pulled for athletic accomplishments. So how are you going to market this? I mean, when you market the league, how do you sell it? How do you promote it? Is it obviously it's less contact than full contact, but as far as providing information, is data going to be one of those things you market?
It could be, but when we talk about marketing the sport, we're not marketing data. Ted talked about data, but we're marketing a sport. And the kids who enjoy playing the game of football, that's who we're marketing it to. And we're marketing it as a non-tackle form of football. And more specifically, the best option for a young athlete to learn the fundamentals of football should be playing interactive football. That way they're going to learn the football fundamentals. That way they're going to learn the right way to play the game. And as a byproduct of what they enjoy, there's this data that's going to come along with it that they as an athlete will have practical use for, and others who are in the sports or data market may have use for also.
I'm interested in what my coach was talking about right here. So an offensive line coach is going to care a whole lot where the hands are, right? Wide receiver coach is going to care about positioning, right? And where on the ball you're catching it, right? I mean, these are sort of all the data points in game that are going to be generated. And in terms of marketing the data, it's really going to depend on who the audience is, right? Now, as a parent, I'm going to care about, hey, what's the data on your injuries, right? You tell me you're non-collision, what's going on? Are kids being safe out there, right? So that'll be a sort of data that you're going to want to market to somebody like me. Head coach is going to want a whole different data set, so that'll be marketed that way to him or her.
Yeah, my question on that, follow-up on that would be, for the parent who's concerned about the health and wellness of their child, then each person's going to have a baseline. Everybody's going to be different. Their baseline is going to be different. So it's just a harder thing to capture is all I'm trying to get at. Is I think I understand the league and understand how you're promoting and selling it, and I think it's a great idea. But obviously data will come up. It's going to be a question of people want to know, well, what am I getting? And I think it's a terrific idea.
Thank you, Matt.
This is my first time here, and I'm kind of the other lawyer in the room. And I was kind of interested in what kind of legal issues you're looking at as far on top of just the patent issues, but also league formation, interacting with sports leagues, and who you're going to and who you're dealing with when you go and do that. Are you at that point yet?
Well, in terms of from a legal team, Ted is focused on our patent portfolio and understanding where we're going from an innovation standpoint. I have Strasburger, who's I'd say my business side from a legal standpoint. So these kinds of business relationships, and when I'm talking about partnerships and working with former NFL players, all those are discussed with my legal counsel before I go into those relationships.
Okay, great.
Thank you. I have a few comments to make, questions too, perhaps. Thanks again for the presentation, and I didn't know, I really had no idea what Kevin was going to talk about before he came up here, but I was really impressed with the presentation and the progress that your business has made. And I just want to recap some things that I noticed about the presentation itself, both from before and more importantly, probably from today. So I think when I first met Kevin or talked to him, I was actually in the entrepreneur coaching position for the chapter. And we were just getting started, so I never reached out to anybody to see if they needed coaching. And I think I had some information that he wasn't a first-time entrepreneur. And so he sent his slides to me for some input because I told him I would review them prior to his presentation date. And I'm typically one who has loads of feedback. And I did send quite a few bullets to him. And I was a little bit nervous about sending it because I didn't want to offend him because I don't know a lot about football. And he was open with me. I don't think you were incredibly happy at first when you got my feedback, right? You can say it. You've already told me. No, you weren't. He wasn't happy about it. But one thing that says that he was poised for success is that he was open to it. He was willing to look at my perspective and consider my feedback. If you ask me about football, I'll probably say, go Seahawks. That's all I'm going to say. And if the Seahawks aren't around, I'll probably say, go Cowboys, whatever it might be, because I'm not a real football fan, but I am a business development professional, and I have a legal background too. So I had input, and he actually made some changes to his presentation based on my feedback, which says he's very open to it. And I want to recap some of these points, not because I don't think that you're a sophisticated audience, but also because the Frisco ISD is watching, and there are students in this entrepreneurship class, and being open to feedback is incredibly important. Another thing that's really positive about what he said today is, did you notice who's on his team? A lot of people don't think about bringing in legal resources to begin with. And I know from trying to keep Microsoft out of court for almost 15 years is that the legal piece is one of the things you should be thinking about up front. And not only does he have a patent attorney, but he also has other counsel on the business side too, which is incredibly important. So think about that when you start your businesses. I will also add, too, that, when you think about patents, I think a lot of people think, I got a patent, this is awesome. I've seen so many people with patent awards sitting across their desk. But unless you're able to defend it, it's really not worth that much. It's just kind of a patent award sitting on your desk. So making sure that you have a very qualified team is really important, and he does. He talked about going to CES. I think a lot of small business owners get locked into a vacuum, right? You sit in your rooms, your houses, maybe your workspaces, but you don't go out and become visible. And it's really important to do that. And I know from experience how important CES is, not just because you want to go and necessarily be visible among a sea of 120,000 people, but just look at how much you can learn by being there. And you have to have some exposure to the competitive products. When he talked about innovation, he was able to come back and say, I feel really comfortable with where we are, from an innovation perspective, because he's taken a look at the competition. And you really can't succeed if you're trying to create your product in a vacuum. So that's very important to me. So I'm really excited about that. Another thing that he mentioned was focus. We have had entrepreneurs here even recently who are doing so many different things. And Matt knows we've talked about it when we talk about our coaching, and it's like, oh, what do I say? I want to get some feedback. I don't want to be too harsh, but we have people who are creating a wide variety of tangible products. They're also creating, they're doing research that they want to share. They have data they're collecting, but they're not really sure where their focus is, so they're doing too many different things. And I think that it is important to differentiate, but unless you focus and be smart about where you're looking to scale and how you're growing, you might run into some problems. So I think that's a great takeaway from Kevin. I think another thing that I'll mention too is what Ted said when you talked about marketing and answering, it may have been Matt's question. And you said, yeah, we're going to have data, right? But the data that you present to the mom, like me, the parent, is going to be different than what you present to the coach. Now, I could easily sit here and get lost in their presentation and say, I'm not a football fan, womp womp. But that's not the message here. The message is that Kevin has a business that's very applicable to probably almost everything that the rest of you are doing, right? You still have manufacturing, you still have legal, you still have finance, you still have brand awareness. Don't get lost in the message of football. The last thing that I'm going to mention is branding. You're redoing your brand. And the money slide. I like the money slide. I'm going to use that later. I hadn't thought about saying that before, but he's right. You know, your brand is so incredibly important. And the fact that you're thinking about it up front rather than after the fact, I think is critical because you want consistent brand messaging from the start. And so many people use Fiverr, get a poopy brand. Sorry, Frisco ISD, but, you know, for saying that word. But then you have to go back and rebrand yourself. And you've really lost finances. There's an opportunity cost to doing that while you're redoing your brand. Now you got a message all over again. So I guess, you know, to wrap it all up in what I'm trying to say, each time that we have a presentation here, don't get so caught up in what the business might be. And maybe you didn't today, but I'm just cautioning because there's so many different lessons that you can learn from Kevin and the other entrepreneurs. And I hope that all of you got something out of being here. Thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys stick around and network. Thank you.